It is that time again, that time of the week where you grab your favorite beverage, your favorite writing utensil, and your favorite notebook, and you get ready to take some epic notes, because today I'm coming to you from Zion National Park, and this is the bio or the introduction for the episode that we recorded a couple of weeks ago with Eric Walsh from MRI. I'm doing this intro from Zion National Park because I know Eric is an epic outdoorsman, along with he and his wife. They're off on a vacation right now. But again, grab your favorite beverage, grab your favorite writing utensil, and get ready to take some epic notes. Talk to you again soon. Eric, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, man. Thanks for having me, Mike.
Yeah, it's a Friday. We're getting geared up to enjoy the weekends and potentially some vacation time, I hear from you. And I know my wife and I are getting ready to go on vacation. In that light, Eric, I wanted to open today a little bit untraditionally. Why don't you introduce yourself as a human, not the business guy that you are? We're going to unpack that in a little bit, but I want to hear about the human side of you.
All right. The human side of Eric. So super outdoorsy guy, been that way my whole life. Bit of an adrenaline junkie, much to the dismay of my peer leadership team and my board of directors. My wife and I met rock climbing, 13, 14 years ago. We are whitewater kayak enthusiasts, long distance trail running. I'd play more golf if it was more dangerous, I think. My wife, you had mentioned a vacation. My wife and I, we live in Cleveland now, relocated here for the job about a year ago, but decided to get scuba certified here in Cleveland so that we could do a 10-year anniversary trip in a couple weeks to Australia. We're going to go scuba dive the Great Barrier Reef. We're going to go to the rainforest. We're going to try a bunch of different beaches and go surfing. And really just as long as I can spend time with my wife, my family, and as many animals as possible outside, I'm a happy dude.
I love that. That's you sound like you have a very full life, and I have to imagine that having a full life outside of the business world that we'll get into in just a second is really it really feeds you as it relates to business. Is that fair to say? I mean, if you're
it is actually. I recently started sort of a LinkedIn thread that's a business lessons in adventuring. And so like the things that I get from adventuring with my wife and with friends that, help rejuvenate me, energize me, teach me things, but also I bring it back in to the work, I wouldn't say non-human Eric, but the work Eric, and do that. But I would also say that the human connection part is deeply paramount for me, outside of work, whether it's family or friends, but also inside of work. I mean, our company's grown a lot. I've worked with small businesses, big ones, and I continue to just get energy and embrace the human interaction part of what I do. And that's the most enjoyable part of business for me, the people I get to be with. And then outside of work, all those adventures, it rejuvenates and energizes me.
That's awesome. Well, let's use that as a segue to jump into what we're talking about today. Just to give a little bit of context to the conversation that we're going to have. It's a really prediction episode, let's call it. I think we're going to go through 5 or 6 predictions, plus or minus. Yeah. But before we do that, you have a very important role at MRI. You're the EVP, the Executive Manager Director for North America. And in addition to that, you're doing it in a context that is changing rapidly, right? Technology is disrupting our business. I think that's the right way to put it. It's disrupting our business in a real way at every level. Can you tell our audience the moment you went, oh, wow, this is starting to catch pace. The inertia is kicking in. Technology is really going to impact our industry. Is there a moment where you went, whoa, we're here?
Yeah, so it's funny. I've been in technology and enterprise-based software for 23 years. And what I've seen happen is something starts to emerge and it goes very slowly and then all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Right. And so I would say that we are at the all of a sudden moment for technology in terms of AI, automation, and the proliferation of digital experience. And I think it really hit home at like two different moments for me. We have a national user conference. It's called MRI Ascend. We just had our last one in Nashville, and Amplify Your Edge was our theme. And if I go back a year before that, right? So I go back 14 months or so to the last MRI Ascend conference. We were having conversations about AI. Now, they'd been happening a year ago before that as well, but now we were talking about AI in the product and AI in how we're embedding it, how you can start to use it. But there were lots of questions. We had panels on security and governance. And by the way, we still had that. But where last year we were being asked, how are we protecting? What are you doing to ensure safety? Which again is still really critical. This year we were asked, what are your best practices for using it? How are you seeing clients use it more and more? And so it went from how do we do this slowly in a risk mitigation perspective to how do we go all in and do it faster? And can you share best practices because you have 45,000 clients worldwide? So in a 12-month period, the perspective, the use, and the hunger for how you further automate, further use AI, 180-degree difference. And I had seen drips of that all year, but to have those two distinct points of measurement and reference were, I think, fairly profound for all of us, including the people in the room who were the same people a year ago, like really wary of that and being told now, like, God, I have to use this. What do I do? So that's where I think I've had those 2 points of reference that there's just a tremendous shift.
So out of curiosity, just to pull on that string a little bit in terms of use cases, are you seeing or from your perspective, the thematics, what are the questions that people are asking in terms of the use cases that they'd like to use AI for?
Yeah, so let's talk about kind of multifamily specifically, right? And I deal with clients kind of all mix and make at MRI. But in the multifamily space, the good news is there continues to be signs of growth, right?
Yeah.
So we've seen renewal rates increase nearly 2% since 2024. Occupancy rates are at relative highs of 95%. Those will stay steady. And as new construction starts slow down, firms are doing more acquisition. So there's more acquisition of assets, which means greater diversification of a portfolio of asset classes and demographics. So that's something that's happening. And at the same time, the property managers, the PMCs, the firms are all being asked to provide a faster, more digital, more AI-driven lease to renewal or applicant to renewal experience. And so they want use cases for how that's being done, but they're being torn in a completely different direction at the same time, which is make sure that the experience, while automated, is still incredibly personal and intimate and human-centric. And so it is the balancing act of those two primary use cases that we hear more and more and more. While the third leg of the unbalanced stool is how do you do all that while spending less money?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That is another driver, say in the last 5 years, plus minus, maybe not that long, but expenses have gone up every category. It's not just the controllables, it's the uncontrollables. And
100%. And the belief is that AI, automation, digitization can help control those costs, improve renewal rates, improve occupancy rates. I think, again, one of those use cases maybe is sort of like prediction one.
Yes, let's go there.
Which is that an intuitive and fully integrated digital leasing process will become the de facto norm. So it is, I remember, go back, I'll age myself now, but I remember after college and I went to go look at my first apartments. I was driving from leasing office to leasing office. I was writing checks or giving cash for my application fee. I was filling out each application. And I'm pretty sure I had a cell phone at that time, but it wasn't a smartphone, right? This is way before iPhone.
Yeah.
And it didn't even occur to me. It was frustrating, but it didn't occur to me that it should be or could be easier, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you think about today, and this actually is a number that I think is lower than you might expect, but 64% of firms either already utilize or plan to utilize a virtual leasing office, right? So it sounds, on the one hand, it sounds like a lot. On the other hand, considering how digital everything is, PropTech and the users of PropTech continue to be a little bit behind the curve from a technology adoption perspective. Now, on the flip side, the same percent, roughly 2/3 of tenants expect, or applicants expect, a completely or vastly digital experience. You want to be sitting in a coffee shop, look at 100 different apartments really quickly over a latte. You want to click a button, be able to apply. You want to pay an application fee right there. You want to have this done quickly because you need that dopamine hit. You expect everything to be done instantly. You want approval in seconds. You want to be able to sign something, lease it, maybe virtualize the way your furniture looks in the property, have the property and be done. I mean, I remember when Carvana launched and people were buying cars without even test driving them. It was just being shipped to their house. I thought it was nuts. Like that's what's happening with the multifamily space, right? So AI tools are definitely delivering an uplift in leasing performance as well. Conversion rates are rising 10 to 20% with the use of AI tools. But I would tell you, and this will lead to a prediction later, so I'll hint at it, you have to manage the risk of how and where you use AI, how and how much you automate, and where you do or don't have a personalized experience. Because the reality is, choosing a home is a deeply intimate and personal choice for people.
That's right. That's right. And there's still, it's interesting. I've been doing a lot of reading and research as it relates to sort of an agentic workforce and potentially making our leasing offices, let's call it, go dark. Yeah, to go dark, and where you don't have a human in the office. And so, but there still is a cohort out there, right, that is digitally challenged. There, whatever there, and I know we could argue that grandma does know how to do Instagram and those things, but there is a cohort out there that is sort of digitally challenged, and so we still have to serve those individuals. And I wonder if you're thinking about that in the calculus here with prediction number one.
So I would tell you, and we'll talk a little bit more about this, that there has to be a human augmentation component to all that we do. But really, what I would say is we're thinking about how to serve everyone on MRI's platform. And it's the platform that we want PropTech to take place on, right? And that's our Agora intelligence platform, our Agora insights. We want it to take place there however you need it to take place. If you are a firm that has multiple asset classes, if you have a firm that serves multiple demographics in multiple geos in North America or the world, you are going to have to provide wildly different experiences from applicant to renewal based on those asset classes, that location, and that demographic. So we completely believe in not only having the ability to personalize the experience you're providing to tenants or residents or future residents. We believe that that's a table stake requirement as we go forward, despite the proliferation and use of AI.
That's right. I 100% agree with that. Until Gen Z and Gen Alpha take over the world, you're going to have to serve all. So I agree. Let's how about moving on to prediction number two, AI powered fraud prevention / humans. I think there's still a human in this equation as well. Can you unpack that one for us?
So there isn't a human in all of them, but there is a human in ours, and I'll tell you, I'm going to explain to you why I think it's important. So prediction two is AI powered fraud prevention augmented by human expertise will become the required standard for fraud prevention in the residential and multifamily real estate space. It's a must. So everything went digital during the pandemic because no humans were interacting with each other, right? Rental fraud surged wildly. More than 93% of property management professionals reported experiencing some level of fraud. And currently, about 25% of all evictions and all eviction filings are the result of some type of misrepresentation and fraud. There is both a real cost burden there. There is also a real safety burden there. So when you think about, so MRI, we have a fraud capability. It's very comprehensive. There are other ones on the market as well, right? Whether you use ours or some other, I encourage and implore you to use something. So please first and foremost, use this. One, we'll talk about the cost component of it. Evictions are ranging anywhere on the low end from $5,000 to the high end of $30,000. It was just 2 years ago where the upper end of that was 10 or 15,000. So it's becoming more and more expensive, more and more timely, and in some cases more and more dangerous to have to deal with this. So what types of fraud prevention tools are there? We use AI-powered ID verification solutions that are doing on the front end or on the early stage of it, they're checking IDs for design, structure. Does it have the right elements in the right place with the right look and feel? However, while our AI tool checks for that, there is a proliferation of AI-generated fake IDs,
Yeah.
and those are getting better and better as well. So it's no longer good enough to just check, is the right thing in the right place, and is that probably the person on the ID? We also leverage DMV or national lookup services to verify if, let's say there's a barcode on the ID, it's supposed to have data in it. Does it have data? Does that data look, and is it the right data in correlation to where it's supposed to be coming from? So we're verifying that. We go steps further, especially in an applicant process. We provide automated and AI-powered screening, background screening, and automated income verification. So let's say we go through all of these steps. It is a great start. And by the way, we do that prior to a tour. That is push button fraud solution for us. So prior to the tour, you're verifying all this information and you are making sure that that person, that woman, that man, that individual that is going to go to an unoccupied area of your building with someone they've never met off the street is safer and has a higher degree of confidence that the person they're talking to is who they purport to be. So number one, forget the cost part.
Yeah.
That's the part you should care about as an employer, right? That's what I would want for my family member who's in that job.
That's right.
But you go later down the line and you're choosing whether or not to approve or decline an application. Well, automated income verification, automated screening alone produce anywhere from 25 to 50% false positives on criminal background issues. We also have a deep layer of human augmented and human powered search on top of that, verifying it. So what are we doing? We're trying to make sure that tenants as well as your team members are safer. We're trying to make sure that you are going to have people that can afford and actually are the people that they say they are, so that they're going to get the right property and they can do it, they can have it. But we're also making sure that we're preventing things like issues with the Fair Housing Act or discrimination issues that you're going to be facing, because you want to do things the right way. So there is a need to balance the AI power component of this, the automation component, with the human component. And so between those two things, you're creating safety and saving costs and maximizing occupancy rates.
I really appreciate the way you've unpacked like the on-site team member, right? I've been in this industry a very long bit of time, and I've heard some just horrific stories as it relates to leasing consultants that get put in compromising positions, and the fact that you're thinking about that first, and you go so far as to say it doesn't matter who you're using, use somebody, because that's important. Yeah, I really appreciate that answer. It's
no, and it is a tenet, like it is a paramount part of why we believe in that solution as well. Like I said, just use it, protect your team members, protect your residents, and protect your applicants as well, by the way.
That's right. That's absolutely right.
100%.
All right, let's move to prediction number 3. I teed it up as unified platforms empowered by AI. I know you can unpack that for us.
Yeah, so listen, prediction 3, right, is real estate operators will rely on unified platforms that combine leasing, operational, financial, and any other myriad of third-party data that they use to run their systems, right? Gone is the day where you're going to one person for one set of data, another person for another set of data, and then you're trying to combine those elements and figure out, what is it telling me? Why is that happening? And the hardest part of it is, what should I do with this, right? So we have solutions and capabilities that, for example, look at different asset classes or different locations and are identifying work order trends. We're providing data that's looking at insights from the most expensive leases or properties. Why is that happening? What can you do about that? Hey, think about preventative maintenance on this boiler before this happens because it's happened to the last 4 in a similar property with a similar boiler of a similar age. So let's upkeep instead of replace. Let's repair instead of replace. We're working on things like that. Also, we are providing analysis, and this is what is expected now, analysis of different types of communication from applicants, from tenants or residents that are maybe predictive indicators of an at-risk renewal, right? And they're letting a property manager know, hey, I've seen this similar kind of thing happen here with these other residents at renewal time. I would encourage you to do the following. Here's maybe a personalized renewal offer you can provide resident or tenant A, B to improve the chance of retaining them. And again, maximizing occupancy. Now, there's another component, which is combining data, not just across products within your tech stack, but, and this will lead into the fourth prediction in a minute, but you need to have an ability to combine data, read and analyze data across multiple platforms, multiple technologies, and multiple tools.
That's right.
Otherwise, you'll be limited as to what else you can adopt and how you can grow and expand. But having AI, automation, and data-driven intelligence, and we have something called the Agora Insights. It's not a coincidence that that's AI, Agora Insights. And it's our Agora Intelligence Suite, also AI. Everything Agora is AI enabled. And that intelligence suite does exactly what I'm talking to you about. It is combining data into its simplest form, a reporting or dashboarding view. But people have been doing that for decades. It is providing an analysis of trends, similar things that have happened, and what I call the hidden truths within a combination of aggregated data, Mike.
Yeah, that's right. You brought to mind, hopefully this makes sense. You brought to mind something. So let's say 20 years ago, I was working for Equity Residential Property, and part of our calculus in terms of renewal, we would bring all of our team members in. We'd have discussions about each individual person that was up for renewal. And 2 of the criteria are, do they have a patio or a deck that is fully decorated with lots of plants, hanging, growing, etc. And inside of their house, do they have a ton of pictures on the wall, and have they not moved around, right? And that was factored into that person's not going anywhere, right?
Yeah.
They're embedded in your community forever. But fast forward to today, there are so many other tells that you can factor into a renewal decision, to your point, right?
But here's why I love that, because that should still be factored in.
Yes, I agree 100%.
And so you can add another 50 variables that will, by degrees or by a magnitude, increase the confidence in what you do. But if there isn't a human that has a relationship with that resident, that interacts with them and provides them a unique personalized experience and asks them about that picture on the wall when they have an opportunity to be there, or knows that that balcony has flowers and plants on it, you will still not have maximum throughput.
That's right. 100%.
It's not technology alone.
I 100% agree. Okay, so before we go into prediction number 4, I have to ask a question. The moat really is, or sorry, the context is really a moat. Okay, so MRI, in sort of a big business sense, has to create a moat around their business, and it's just, to me, the practical thing to do. When we talk about integrations, and you suggest wherever you're bringing data in from or pushing data out of, it's just an age-old, let's call it an argument for sake of conversation in our industry, where PMS players sometimes make that difficult. And I just want to get your opinion on that. And I understand why. In the same respect, there's so much data in the world, and if we're able to incorporate it into one system with lots of players, it seems like it would be an even better offering to the industry as a whole.
So that's our philosophy as well, right? So I think you've kind of underpinned what we consider the foundation. There's lots of different ways to go about things, right? Yeah. You can go into the parts bin in your own garage and build the best car possible with the tools you already have and the parts you already have, or you can build a more modular, composable set of car capabilities with what you have, with what other people have. Now, you still want one dashboard, meaning, and one steering wheel
So true.
and one gas pedal, right? But how do you build the best car? And by the way, the best car for me is not going to be the best car for you, right? So optionality is important. You talk about a moat. We can think about it that way, but we design, if the software or technology platform is the castle or the kingdom, right? You want that castle or kingdom to be so exciting, you want to enter it, you want to be a part of that kingdom.
Sure.
But we are allowing you, and we're providing you bridges over the moat so you can walk in and out as often as you want, because that village down there, they have something better. I want to bring that back home. That village over there, I want to merge with that village and have their stuff coming in and out as well. So I think it's a very it's a very free flowing moat with a lot of bridges over it.
I like it. I like it. Thank you for entertaining that one.
Yeah.
And maybe it's sort of a loose segue to our next prediction. IT did up as tech platforms will be defined rather by their flexibility.
Yeah, and I think that flexibility again will become a de facto standard, a table stake. And again, there's a number of reasons for this. So if you go back to the initial premise of where I started, which is multifamily business is growing. We are bullish about where that is headed. Rental rates are up, acquisitions are up. So what happens? I'm going to talk about this sort of in two different worlds. As acquisitions increase, you're acquiring properties that are currently running today. They're running on something with a certain way. You have residents, tenants, and employees that are familiar and used to a certain set of tools, systems, and data.
That's right.
You could make a decision that upon acquisition, every single thing is going to be migrated to this other thing. I'm going to retrain everyone on that. And by the way, you saw that only 64% of firms are actually using or plan to use a full digital leasing office, right? So we're still a little bit behind there. So there's still lots of people out there on premise, not in the cloud. And there's a lot of cost that comes with that migration. There is also significant business disruption.
That's right.
So wouldn't it be wonderful if you had one steering wheel, one gas pedal, one gas gauge, and one dashboard that was bringing you information and allowing you to steer multiple cars and do multiple things without having the person on the other end have to learn something new or do something different or get onto a different highway. So the flexibility will be key as acquisitions increase, because it's likely in many cases ideal or best for the business to allow business to continue to operate as is, but you don't want disconnected data. It goes back to the prediction that we had before. You still need the data, the insights to be layered on into what you're looking at, which again is why we look at Agora Insights and Agora Intelligence as the platform in which intelligent technology and PropTech takes place. That is where business takes place. So acquisitions will drive a need for flexibility. But even if hyper acquisition is not, that's not part of your model. You're not super concerned about that. Do you have a portfolio with a diversified set of residents? Do you have a portfolio of a diversified asset classes? Are you in multiple geographies? If so, wouldn't it be a flawed premise to say the applicant, leasing, and renewal experience is best if it is exactly the same for each and every one of those individuals? I would tell you that it is not. I have data that tells you it is not. In fact, as AI and automation proliferates, the personalized experience will become that much more of a competitive edge. Right now, being ahead of someone else using AI, you might get a cost benefit, but you're not getting a personalized benefit, but there's still some gains there. Eventually, it's going to be like email. No one is performing better because they have email. You just have to have it. Right. So the other thing I would tell you is every time I open up the Wall Street Journal or I go online, there is yet another venture-backed point solution startup in the world of multifamily. And some of them are great. They're not all going to be there in a few years. And don't you want to try to experiment sometimes? Maybe you have two cities that are very similar. This technology purports to do this. This one's very close and purports to do this. You want to try each of those out and see which one is best fit for your purpose. If you don't have a flexible platform, if you have a single stack, a closed framework, then you can't do that without significant expense.
That's right. Yeah, it's having spent 30 years in the business, working for 4 or 5 different owner operators, both in the publicly traded space and in the privately held family office space. That's just been a bone of contention, let's say, with the various platforms that are out there, and some are better than others in terms of being flexible. I actually left equity right before MRI became their partner, so I didn't get the MRI experience. But the other players, let's just say I've had a contentious relationship with some of them over the years.
No, and I appreciate that. And by the way, there are many different ways to solve the problem.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
this is the way that we believe, this is the direction we go, and this is the race that we're running. And I think as technology continues to, there's new large language models every day.
Every
There's
day.
new AI tools every day. You want to be able to plug those in and remove them as quickly as you can, and you want to be as flexible. That doesn't mean, by the way, if you look at us and say, what is your best of breed solution set from start to finish that you would recommend? I'll give that to you. Just know that as your business evolves, we can evolve and adapt with you and be highly flexible. And I find it hard to believe, based on everything I've seen over the last 20 years, that increased flexibility from a technologist and a prop tech provider won't be of paramount importance.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. All right, let's move on to prediction number 5. I have it teed up as AI plus humans for the win.
Oh, I like that. So my final prediction is that you will find a lot of firms, and this isn't just true in prop tech, this will be everywhere, that embrace or over automate, that over AI, and run the risk of depersonalizing what they do and hurting their business. I tend to think about it like the way I think about sometimes. A mentor once told me, a paycheck, the amount of money you make is not a motivator, it's just a demotivator. Like if you make a ton of money and you're paid as much as you want, you still might leave eventually because other things won't be good enough,
True.
right? The digital experience that I have, and I'm a tenant right now, right? I'm a resident at an apartment complex. I want a really simple work order experience. I want a really simple payment experience, a really simple renewal experience. I won't stay because those things are really good, but I might leave if they're not good.
That's right. That's right.
Right? I stay because I know the name of my property manager. I stay because when the person who comes and fulfills my work order is personable, is kind, they care about me, they care about my wife, they care about our safety and our property. And so you can't depersonalize the very personal experience of owning a property, of being a resident. And there is a real risk that people have. And by the way, a fear. People fear that AI will make the human the way of the dodo, right? That AI and automation will ultimately devalue the human. I argue. And I say the AI and automation will increase the value of the human, the personal experience, and eventually, and not in too short order, the only way to have a competitive advantage is to have a uniquely different personal and intimate experience. And so that is the 5th prediction.
Yeah, I always have this analogy come to mind when we talk about AI and humans, and it's a really great basketball team. You have Steph Curry bringing the ball down the court, and he passes off somebody who makes a move to the basket, and then they feed it back out to Steph Curry, and it's still like an assist, right? AI is there to assist.
Yes.
This sort of stitch together this great basketball team or this thing we call life, right? It's just one of those things that provides us a way to get it done better and hopefully with higher quality.
100%, but we cannot, and I guarantee you, we will not lose the importance of the human element in everything that we do. And that will continue to be the differentiation. It is service and experience above all else.
That's right. Innately, we want to be a part of community. And if we disappear a lot of these things that create distractions in our life or conflict or otherwise, we get to actually be in community and serve one another well.
Exactly. And we believe in serving the communities in which people live, work, and play. And we're going to do that by assisting and providing efficiencies with AI, automation, and better intelligence, but while putting the human, it's human-centric automation and human-centric AI, Mike.
I love that. I love that. Well, as we sort of draw to a close here, is there anything that we didn't talk about, that I didn't ask you, that we didn't tee up, that you might want to share with our audience before we draw to a close?
I would just say from a philosophical perspective with regards to MRI and how we view things, we would encourage you in the world, in the market, as you think about the prop tech provider you want to work with. And again, when it comes to things like fraud or safety, just use someone. So please just use someone, keep everyone safe. But think beyond today's technology. Think beyond the immediate need. And sometimes think beyond the single price point and think about the business you intend to have over 3, 5, 10, 15, and 20 years and ask yourself, do I want to be a partner for life with this individual and this company? And are they capable of adapting and being flexible enough with me? And if the answer is yes for that, then you're probably moving in the right direction with the right partner. And that's a question we ask ourselves all the time, and we endeavor to be that partner for life. But other than that, man, I just had a blast, Mike. This is great. And again, we are incredibly bullish about the multifamily.
Yeah, definitely. And I echo those sentiments, Eric. This is, I love conversations like this. I love people who are doing cool things in the world, both as a human, but also as a business person. And you strike me as that type of individual. So thank you for investing time with me today. And I look forward to getting this episode out into the world.
Awesome. Thanks, and have a great vacation.
Likewise. Take care.
Cheers.